Well, good morning, everyone. My name, like Craig said, I'm Clint Hawkins. I live right over here in Cedar Park. I do have 3 teenagers. We got one at Vista Ridge. Anybody have kiddos at Vista Ridge or know where that's at? And I got 2 over at Henry. And a little bit about the kiddos. Pretty much, I'm just their Uber. Just take them everywhere when they ask. My middle daughter, she actually works at a horse stables. It's right behind here. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. There's Hidden Creek Ranch. It's right by here, and it's been around for like 25 years. So I've got a whiteboard up here today because we are going to interact a lot. So please speak up, and please just pop your hand up and yell questions as we go, because I didn't build out like 40 slides to walk you through data. This is for us to learn and be able to teach each other. So please feel free to ask anything. And like Craig said, I've been doing recruitment for a long time. But that's probably not the most important thing I want to talk to you about. Like we could talk a little bit about things that happen in the job market. You guys can ask anything. But the things that I want to dive into today, like this topic, is like, can you step out of line when you're job hunting? So what do you guys remember from like elementary school? Whenever you had to leave the classroom with the whole class to go to lunch, what was it like? What did you have to do? Get in line. Okay, what would happen if you cut in line? Yeah, who did you get in trouble with? The teacher and your friends. And what would your friends say? Like, what would you? Yeah, you can't do that. So if you cut in line, you get in trouble, right? And the teachers, and what's some of the phrases? Do you remember any of like the phrases that they would say whenever you're like a teacher's trying to get everybody to line up? What'd you say? Yep. That's what the guys would say, right? Okay. What else? What's some of the things? That's not fair. That's not fair, right? So we're kind of conditioned really young to like stay in line, right? Even like you go to Chipotle, you're going to stay in line. You can't cut up to the front and just push everybody out of the way. But the behavior of that ends up pushing into your guys' into careers, and it ends up going into like the job hunting. So raise your hand if you're actually job seeking right now. Okay, everybody here. Raise your hand if you love being on LinkedIn and the job boards all day. You love it? Okay. Raise your hand if you're frustrated with how it works. Absolutely, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today, is like, how do you get past that frustration and find a different angle to step out of line, to talk to employers, to build advocates in your network to help you get into like an actual warm introduction. And we're gonna talk through those things. But I am gonna, before we get started, we're gonna do something what is called survey, rank, teach. So instead of me building out a bunch of slides that were going to be irrelevant to what you guys need, I'm going to ask you right now, and if I can grab a marker, what is your top frustrations with your job hunt? Let's start yelling them out.
Getting the interview.
Okay, landing interviews. AI filters, navigation of the site, how to use the site well.
Yeah, how to take the best efficiency out of this.
Okay. What else? What's the biggest frustrations? Okay, tailoring resumes.
LinkedIn only allows you one profile when there are really multiple kinds of jobs you'd like to apply for.
Yep. So then you have like you've got a folder of resumes that you have to keep on switching up and alternating it to attach to your LinkedIn profile to apply. Yep.
Fake jobs and spam.
Oh, that's not real. Fake jobs. Anybody love getting those text messages that says, "I'm sorry if I'm interrupting you," and it's like a long paragraph, like, "We're paying a daily rate of this," and it's like, what is, okay. Fake jobs, spam. Okay, what else? This marker's dying on me. Okay. Yep. Yep. So that's tied back to like an ATS, and I'll give you some more like why is that happening and it's why it's frustrating. What else?
Networking.
Networking. Okay.
That it's so impersonal until you actually get to an interview.
Yeah.
It's all computer.
Yeah. There's like there's no human touch to it, right? Okay. Back there, sir?
It's a little bit different. All this free time I have now without a job,
Yep.
getting filled with non-work stuff. Like it's personal, like
Yeah.
I got a wife and 3 kids and
Yeah.
all this time has been consuming. I know it's not exactly related to this.
Is it like a prioritization? Because it's like,
I feel like I have a part-time job not having a job.
yeah. Oh, you definitely do.
Who is looking for a job?
Yeah. Yeah. And what's some of the, so this is our bucket of like tasks that are frustrating. What's some of the emotional things that hit you guys? Like what did it feel like right after this round, this job loss? Like Steve, if I can pick on you for a second. Like Steve just went through long career, and then something happens to his career that he cannot control. It was nothing in his control for that situation. How did it make you feel? Sad? Yeah. Yep. What's a couple other ones? We don't have to go too far down this path, but what? Disappointed. And what are you disappointed in?
How, in my case, the company was treating their employees.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was not like that before. The culture changed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is a pretty good list, and if we had like 9 hours, we can cover all this, but we've got about another 30, 40 minutes. So out of these up here, we got landing interviews, we got fake spam, long application networking, lack of human touch, navigating LinkedIn, tailoring resumes, how to use sites and AI filters. Give me a raise of hands here. Is landing how about you do this? Landing interviews, raise your hand if this is like one of your top things you want help with. Okay, most of us. Okay. AI filters, a few. Okay. How to use the sites, like best practices of how to like go through applications. All right, put a little hash here. Tailoring resumes, a lot. Okay. Dealing with LinkedIn, kinda. Fake spam or fake job files. Okay. Dealing with applications and ATS. Yeah. It's like half. Okay. Networking. Okay. And no human touch. We can't do anything we can talk about the networking too. That'll take care of that. Then prioritization, we can kind of dive into. So let's talk about landing interviews, because that's the biggest part about stepping online. It's like, how do we get to a point where we get a warm introduction? But do you want to give a quick, just a highlight of why am I actually here? So I grew up with a chip on my shoulder because I went to magically end up going to like a really nice high school where I grew up in Indiana. And I was not like most of the other kids. A lot of them had parents that were like doctors and business owners and different things, and that was not my upbringing. So I grew up with a chip on my shoulder that one day I'm going to grow up and make a lot of money, and be like, I'm gonna pursue that, and I'm going to look like that one day, and go through all those things. And so I spent most of my 20s and 30s pursuing my career, but more focused on this idea of like I want to become really good at a job and make a ton of money and have the house and the 3 kids and all the fancy car and all the things. And I got myself there. And I had no faith journey at the time. I was pretty much worshiping the God of Clint, and the more I went towards this, all my self-worth was just based on my career. And it pretty much ruled my life, ruled my emotions, it ruled everything that was going on throughout my marriage. And in 2016, 2017. Moved here to Austin, moved here in 2015, 2016, 2017. Everything fell apart. The job that we moved here for, I got fired from. First time in my life ever. I had been working since I was 13, never got fired. Got fired for the first time in my life. Started to go through a divorce, a mental health breakdown, and got to the point where I thought I'd probably just be homeless, and got close to it. Not my kids and my now ex-wife, but myself personally. Like I was getting to that point. In February 2017, I went to a men's, reluctantly went to a men's retreat. Still at the time, I was agnostic, borderline of atheist, and did not believe in any type of higher power. And I was pretty much given an ultimatum at the time by my wife, like, you either go to this or we're going to start to get divorced faster. It's like, oh, guess I got to go. And I was listening to the main speaker that we had that weekend, and he dove into this thing about, if my self-worth is based on what you think of me, I'm going to manipulate you 100% of the time. And he was talking about if your self-worth is dependent on anything but, God's view of you, you're going to have a hard time navigating the world, because everything's going to push you around versus you having God in your life and having your self-worth tied to Him. So that weekend, this is before I got fired the first time, we're going around the circle. I don't know any of these guys are with me. And one of the icebreakers that morning was like, when's the time you ever got fired? And they're all going around the circle, and they're naming off different times. I'm looking at them like, what is wrong with these men? They're all talking about how they've gotten fired, laid off. That's never happened to me. And the guy next to me was like, yeah, matter of fact, I just got fired a couple weeks ago, and blah, blah, blah. And I scoffed. I literally, like that. The guy pointed at me. He goes, I hope you have God in your life whenever you get fired. Oh, it was about 3 weeks later. And luckily that night, after that long day, on my walk out to go back to the little cabins that we had or whatever it was, I stopped on the sidewalk, froze, and I said, Jesus, I surrender, because this is not working. And so when it did happen, I did have God in my life, and rock bottom started, but at least I had this idea of hope. So that's my quick testimony for you guys. So I might come across like I know what I'm talking about with these things, and I do, because it's what I do for a living. When it comes to the heartbreak of going through job loss, I'm not a stranger to it. Since that time, had gotten let go 3 different times throughout, and just since 2017. Whether it been got fired the first time, the other 2 were for financial layoffs because the companies I worked for weren't doing well. So after this, if you want to grab me, after the next speaker, the last speaker, please feel free to come chat with me about these things, because I understand that heartbreak. All right. Landing interviews. What's everybody's mission right now? To find a job, right? Okay, so let's consider finding a job home run. We all agree to that? That'd be a home run right now. So we wake up every morning thinking, I need a home run, because that's what's going to fix this. I need to get a job. The stress of that, of trying to ask yourself every day, am I going to hit a home run today? Is that fair to you? If we're actually playing baseball or softball, are you going to hit a home run every time? Nope. What could you do, though? What's less than a home run? And you don't even have to be a baseball follower. I'm not a big baseball fan or anything, but what's less than a home run?
First base.
Just getting to first base, a base hit. A lot of times we are focused on this last piece to getting to the job, and the base hits are the things that we don't understand how to do. Because did anybody in high school or college or whatever get a really great career hunting, job hunting class? Raise your hand. Yeah, exactly. None of us got taught any of this crap, right? And it changes every 6 months of what's going on because of the ATS, which is the applicant tracking systems, because of LinkedIn, because of Indeed, and that whole ecosystem is changing. And so we're trying to learn something on the fly that's changing on the fly, and it's impossible to catch up. If we focus on getting a base hit versus the home run, in these moments, you're probably going to have better odds of getting like a live conversation and getting someone to actually talk to you. And what I mean by that, there's a couple of different things. One, if you're applying online on LinkedIn, you are not just applying with a couple dozen people or a couple hundred people, you've got thousands of people applying to jobs, okay? I work for a company that's relatively small. It's a recruiting agency, so it does have a lot of LinkedIn followers, but we're not a big brand. I can post up a 100% remote program manager position. Within 3 days, I'll have 600 applicants, right? 600. And I'm not Apple or Home Depot or a big brand. Imagine how many applicants show up, right? So what do? So one is start to actually understand, like, you need to outflank where everybody else is going, if that makes sense. So everybody's running towards this one place, and it's like they're all trying to go through this funnel to get to the one spot. And it's almost like you have to be like, okay, I'm just going to start kind of running sideways and loop around and try to find a different entrance to get there. And that's what I mean by stepping online, is like, once you find the position that you're applying to, yes, apply to it. Track it. Put it on a spreadsheet so you remember where you applied. Write down or put on that spreadsheet, like, what's the title, the company, your login, like how did you log into their ATS and went through all that stuff that you got to do. But then have a section for notes. And the way that you almost want to think about this, you guys ever watch like a mobster movie where they're trying to take down the mob, or like a Law and Order, and they're trying to figure out where's all the bad guys and all the suspects? Well, a job tracker is this way of like figuring out, okay, who's my main suspects? Who am I going after? Who's the freaking hiring manager that's actually going to make this decision? And how do I step out of line to go find them? There's all kinds of tools that exist now that didn't exist even like 4 or 5 years ago on how to do that. One of the things that I've seen work, this is something that I do coaching with folks through every week, is looking for base hits of getting introductions to people at that company, but don't try to go too far up the food chain. Look for other people that are probably at the caliber of job you're looking at too. They're easier to get a response from. They're probably going to talk more. And asking for them for their advice. So a base hit is not saying, hey, here's my resume. Are you hiring? Will you hire me right now? That's like saying, hi, hey, Leo, I just met you. Do you want to get married? It's like, whoa. The first meeting or the first message you send them can't be this huge ask. But you can say, hey, I see that you work here, you've been there for a while. Can I get your advice? Can we grab 15 minutes? That, lowering that threshold of getting conversations started will help you to get into where you're in this place of like, you're just waiting on everybody else, on waiting a response from a website or the ATS, whatever, to like trying to drive actual smaller, lightweight conversations so you can start to build your network and start to get warm introductions. I'm going to pause for a second. Where does that have flaws, and where does that make you guys nervous to do something like that? Feels creepy, okay. Have you ever had a job where you've been in sales or marketing? Exactly, right? It does feel creepy. And you could be, that's easy for you, Clint. You're obviously an extrovert and love talking to strangers. Like, yeah. Where do you feel like you can add value where you go to someplace? All right. Here's the thing. You guys might, you're feeling that frustration because you can't get there. There's a hiring manager on the very opposite side of this whole equation. And what do you think they're going through? They're frustrated, right? They're actually in the same position, but it's the reversed. They're getting overwhelmed. They don't have time to go through all these things, but they really need someone to come help their team. They need your help. So you might feel creepy because you're like kind of like trying to like navigate this and ask questions. But there's somebody that is like for months being like, hey, what's your first name? Melissa. There's someone for months that's written down a list of where they need help at their company, on their team. And it's like, and they don't know Melissa yet, right? But this is the whole list is describing what you do, right? And so you have to when you wake up and you're saying like a steering wheel prayer or like a morning prayer about your job, and it's like, God, like, I know there's someone out that needs my help. They just haven't met me, right? They just haven't met you yet, Melissa. And that's the problem, because all this stuff blocks you from getting there. So don't feel creepy, because there's somebody out there just like, when they're gonna chat with you, they're like, oh my gosh, this is such a relief. You know how to do that? And you're like, yeah, that's what I do for a living. And you're like, okay, that moment's gonna show up. So don't feel creepy pursuing it and asking for advocates and asking for advice to go towards it. What else? What else seems, if you're, yes, back there? Oh, to access the real email address? Oh, how do you actually get the real data to send them an email? Okay, so I'll give you a couple hacks right now if you guys want to write these down. And one is like, yeah, because sometimes it's a pay to play to go get that data. So there's ones like Zoom Info, Rocket Reach. So there's dozens of these companies that are aggregators that go through and collect all of the data of like corporate email addresses, and then a lot of times you do have to pay to play. Sometimes they'll give you like 2 or 3 free tokens, or they'll set you up for a trial membership. But honestly, here's the easiest way, and this is like the old school way. Do you guys know what an asterisk does in a Boolean search or a database search? What's it do, Melissa? What's an asterisk? Wildcard. Got it. So wildcard in a database search, if you use an asterisk like this, means like, hey, anything goes, and depending on which direction you put on the asterisk. So if you find that the company you apply to, and you just go to their normal URL, like, okay, say like purposeworks.org, right? That's the website. Well, most likely, everybody's email address is going to be like at purposeworks.org, right? I'm not spelling this correctly. But if you put an asterisk in front of this and make it all one piece, and you drop that in Google or any type of like search, and then put anything else, all of a sudden it'll scrape anything that has an email address, and it'll show you the actual dichotomy or the structure of the email address for that company. Does that make sense? And then you just follow that format. Like, is it c.hawkins@purposeworks, or is it clint.hawkins, or is it, and if it's a really big company, sometimes they start to put numbers next to people's names. That's tough to find out. Like if it's going to have it's a C Hawkins, 213 at, but most likely you're probably going to have some type of naming structure like this. Then you just take a shot. You try a couple different versions. You can ask Google Gemini or ChatGPT, hey, what's all the different email structures from normal corporate emails? And it'll just show you like little examples, and just try the different ones. You don't have to pay for it. It's like, does this make sense? Okay, cool. Yes, sir.
Try those in individual emails.
What's that?
Try that in different, separate emails for each.
Yeah. Don't shotgun it all the same, because then it'll get hit by a firewall or a spam wall, and it'll just like, nope, like you're trying to obviously like fish here. But yeah, just try individual ones.
Okay, so this is going to give you a scan of all the people that work under that company with that.
It might just bring up a couple hits of other email addresses that are public, that have been listed, whether it's a press release or like a PDF that has a list of attendees for a conference. It'll bring up, and so it might not be the actual human you're trying to find, but it'll give you at least the structure of the email address of like how to reach out to them. And if it's a really small company, like it's something here, just call into the main line, be like, hey, I'm trying to send an email to somebody. How does your guys' email structure work? Good luck getting somebody to pick up a live call like at an office, but that's an easy way to do it. But using their main URL is like the first hack, is go that way. Okay, want to keep cooking? Cool. And feel free to throw up your hand if you got other questions. So this idea of stepping on the line and try to outflank it, like sending the emails is one thing, but that's like, okay, well that's a cold thing, like most say, that feels like kind of creepy. So how do we actually build advocates to get to where we want to go, like building our network? One of you guys, when we're talking about feelings here, it's, like sad or disappointed, has anybody felt like shame right after, like when you're going through job loss? Like I have. Like I get ashamed that I'm in this spot where I'm have to ask for so much help. And I get ashamed that everyone had thought of me. It's like, wow, Clint was always really successful. What happened? Like, it's like, well, it depends on which version. 2016, 2017, that's like, I happened. I ruined a lot of things. Other things like something happened to me and I couldn't control it. But still, even when something like that is out of your control, like the shame still like hits you. And that sometimes it keeps you from being able to step into this pocket of like moving forward because you're kind of like you're holding your head low. Finding advocates is so important when you're job hunting, not just for like trying to find the new people, but going back into your own network of people you've already worked with in the past. Because a lot of times those folks, even though they don't know that you might be looking again. Like your favorite manager or favorite boss you ever had from 15 years ago that taught you a bunch of things, they have no idea that you're going through this. And so reaching out to people that already have known you and even just saying, hey, I love some ideas. Can we talk? Can we walk through some ideas? Can you think about other people who might need my help, right? And sometimes the shame, though, of going through the job seeking keeps you from just asking that simple question for help, and you just keep going back to LinkedIn and dealing with AI and dealing with applications, and you get stuck in this vacuum, and all you're doing is listening to your own thoughts about it. Does anybody ever feel like that? And you're like, I'm addicted to my own thoughts and keep going through this loop, and I don't want to really ask for help. I don't want to burden anybody. Stop. That's never the way of it's never really going to produce anything better staying in that vacuum and not talking to advocates. I'm going to read just a quick part of Mark 2. And you guys probably have heard this parable before. A few days later, when Jesus again entered Capernaum, the people heard that he had come. They gathered in such large numbers that there was no room left, not even outside the door. He preached the word to them. Some men came, bringing him a paralyzed man carried by 4 of them. Since they could not get to him, Jesus, because of the crowd, they made an opening in the roof above Jesus by digging through it, and they lowered the mat the man was lying on. When Jesus saw their faith, he said to the paralyzed man, "Son, your sins are forgiven." Has anybody ever heard this story? Yeah. And if you guys ever watched like that show, The Chosen, they've got a pretty cool like interpretation of it. That's 2,000 years ago, right? Most of us don't have like a mud thatch roof anymore. So the idea of that is like, what? They're digging through the roof. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, the roof of that building was like a mix of like mud and kind of like almost like a wheat material, like thatch. And so, yeah, you could kind of like chip away at it and dig a hole. You think about it, this paralyzed man, he had so many friends that loved him, right? They loved this guy so much that they're like, okay, get this. We are going to carry Jeff. Let's call him Jeff. They're like, we're going to carry Jeff, and we're going to pass him on his mat and get on that roof, and we're going to dig through it, and we're going to put him right there. Let's get him right to the source, okay? There's so many things here. Because right now, most of you guys are on the mat, right? You're on the mat. You feel paralyzed. You're like, I'm trying everything, but I can't get up right now. I'm feeling paralyzed. I'm stuck. the way those advocates are stepping up and carrying him because they've known him, right? They knew his heart, and they're like, okay, we got to get Jeff help. We're going to take him up there, right? When we're in that stuck place, when we're paralyzed like that, we're on the mat, just getting word out to others, hey, I need help. I need some advocates right now. I need someone. I need to like talk to either old coworkers, old bosses, my neighbors, like spreading the word. Hey, I need some help. I'm on the mat right now. Because you know what's going to happen? You guys are all going to find the right job. It's going to show up. And then soon after that, guess what's going to happen? Someone else is going to be on the mat that you know, right? And then it changes. You're like, hey, I've been there before. I know you're on the mat. I'm going to call a few other people. I'm going to text a few other people. We're going to pick you up, and we're going to start carrying you, okay? The crowd was so big. So what's the parallel here of like we're talking about thousands of people are applying to the same job, right? You got hundreds of people crowding around that trying to get to the source, get to Jesus. Did Jesus care when you showed up? When you got lowered down? Did he say, whoa, no, go get back in line. There's no cheating here. You can't do that. No, he's like, he saw how much the friends loved him. On top of that, it's like, oh, this is pretty good, guys. Yep, I get it. You're healed. And he knew that story would play out that way. Searching for these advocates is not as daunting as you think, but you're probably going to have to surrender some of that shame and some of those things that are like keeping you from talking about it. Does this make sense? Okay. Does anybody find that maybe be tough to do, is ask for that type of help right now? No? That's okay. So I'm going to pause there. Where do you guys want to head next here? We keep going back to landing interviews. How do we get past it? So we got sending out cold emails. Maybe we're sending LinkedIn introductions. What are the things you feel like are blocking you? Like in your head, what's the thing you think it's telling you it's keeping you from getting an interview? Do you feel it's like it's you? Like when they look at your career? Does anybody feel like they deal with ageism? Like I've been around too long and they're, yep, okay. What's that? What are you telling yourself? Like, give me some ideas. What do you think is happening? What do you think is probably happening behind the scenes?
Well, I'm actually getting interviews, and I do a lot of Zoom presentations because it's a sales position, usually remote, but I'm not getting hired.
Okay.
So, and I don't like to revert to thinking like that, but all of these positions, I'm like really well qualified for.
Yeah. Yep. Do you guys feel like the jobs are getting given away to someone that's less qualified than you or like younger than you? That's what you're probably telling yourself that's probably happening. Okay. So what's that? You know it, right? Okay. So here's the thing that's happening. It's not, and I know you don't hear this, it is happening whether you're graduated from college, 3 years experience right now, or 35 years experience right now. It is happening to all groups, this type of frustration. I mean, I get referrals every week from people from all walks of life, all ages, of what's going on in their careers. And this whole job board ecosystem thing, the getting rejected to the very after a couple interviews. The problem is when the job market slows like this and the demand is less, but there's a lot of inventory. It's kind of like real estate. They do get pickier. They do start to drag things out. Budgets all of a sudden do get cut. And like you're getting weird emails, like the job's now not there. Like what happened? This job's been posted for months, and all of a sudden it's just like evaporated. What happened? It's not you. There's so many factors happening behind the scenes, but we will tell ourselves every time it happens, it must be me. Yeah, like something's wrong with me. They don't want me. It's not true. So if you get in that spot, you definitely pray that one off, that it's not something that's going to be you. The ageism part, I do a lot of recruiting. Like, Right now, the biggest thing, 5 minutes, the biggest thing that you can do is show your aptitude. So anyone would like take a guess what I mean by that? Show your aptitude. Your ability to learn new things is the thing that they want to know about. If they look at your career and they say, okay, 20 years, 30 years experience, whatever it may be, that's fine. As long as that very top part of your resume, you're talking about and you're explaining your aptitude. What I mean by that is giving examples. How did you learn something new recently? Because that's the fix. Because if I'm going to try to hire somebody, you know what I'm going to try to figure out, especially if I'm working with my clients and they're trying to hire someone, I'm like, okay, how do I get you the maximum amount of experience with the highest, like for years experience, with the highest aptitude to learn something new on top of it, and just be within the budget wherever the range is, the salary range. When I talk to the clients I'm working with, that's the game. It's not like, oh, can I find a really smart person with aptitude that's really cheap? They're like, that's fine, but that's a headache for me. Like, come on, like, there's so many things they're just not even gonna know. I'm gonna spend so much time trying to get them caught up that I'd rather find somebody with experience, but just show me that they're learning new things. Can you guys raise your hand if you can learn something new, right? Explaining that quickly in your resume and showing those stories quickly, like in that top 1/3 of your resume, because that's probably what they're going to see. They're not going to get down to page 2, 3, 4. They're going to be on that top, like 1/2, top 1/3 of your resume. Explaining that is going to help you compel them to want to talk to you more, that you are looking at new things. Okay, I only have a few more minutes. I would love to take a couple more questions. What you guys got? Okay, go ahead, Steve.
It seemed like somebody was saying the tailoring of the resumes is very
Yeah. Okay. The relevancy engine of how your resume gets picked up. On LinkedIn, it's still more of like a SEO, like a search engine optimization. It is not really AI. Guys, I use it all day. I use LinkedIn Recruiter probably 5 to 6 hours a day. I'm on that thing. My whole team, that's where we spend a majority of our budget every year as a company is on LinkedIn Recruiter, paying for those seats. It costs, oh my gosh, we probably spend, I think it's around $50-something thousand a year from our team to have access to it, right? It's expensive. When you apply, it does a relevancy ranking for that recruiter who posted the job. It doesn't do by the date. So, by the way, like if you see like 500 people applied, like, well, I'm too late, I'm going way back in the line. Nope, that's not true actually. You could apply, there might be one word, one piece of software you've learned, one skill that you have, one certification that actually might pop you up really high in the relevancy search and put you on the top of the rank. And if I had a live demo, I could show you how it shows up. Tailoring the resumes, guys, you won't know. It's like if you've never been to Vegas and somebody hands you, $1,000, like, hey, go make more money out of this. You're like, how? Like, I don't like blackjack, like slots. It's like we don't know. So you got this inventory of skills, right? And you want to go. You're going to gamble, put it in the thing. You don't know what's going to happen with it, right? There's no way of knowing. And I've been doing this for way too long. I'm like, I don't know. Because all the different ATSs have different types of logic of how it works. My suggestion, in that top 1/3, you show where you've kicked butt. This is how I've learned something new. Here's my greatest hits of things I've gotten done. Keep a lot of your content that you have. Don't assume people understand what your old company did also. Because a lot of times I'll see people's resumes and they'll have like their company name and they'll have their description. I'm like, I never heard of this place. So putting a quick one-liner about like that company you work for will help people also understand like what was the industry you were in, scope of the type of work that you did. Guys, I'm out of time. Right, Craig? Yep. I'm going to say after Shane gets done, I'm going to hang out here. So please feel free to grab me and talk. I'm going to pull up a slide real quick for my contact information. We kind of skipped this slide. We did lower right. I got a website up, it's jesusineedadjob.com. Yep, because how many times have we said that phrase out loud? It's got some blog posts on there. It's got my contact information. It's got my LinkedIn on there. And the Gmail is the same, jesusineedadjob@gmail.com. Feel free to send me your resume, send me any material you got, and I'll do my best to help you guys get some advice. So thank you all. God bless you.